You're welcome back to Afia TV News tonight in our conversation segment, of course, focusing on the stronger tie that President Tinubu is seeking with France. And according to reports, political analysts in Nigeria say the country needs to be careful after signing a series of agreements with France. Now, Tinubu's three-day visit to France was the first official state visit to Paris by a Nigerian leader in more than 2 decades. During the visit, Nigeria and France signed 2 major deals, including a $300 million pact to develop critical infrastructure, renewable energy, transportation, agriculture, and healthcare in Nigeria. Both nations also signed an agreement to increase food security and develop Nigeria's solid minerals sector. Tinubu has been trying to attract investments to boost Nigeria's ailing economy. While many praise his latest deals with France, some critics are urging caution. The deal comes as France looks for friends in West Africa following a series of military coups in countries where it formerly had strong ties: Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. Unfortunately, countries like Chad, Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso, and the likes, we haven't seen significant development in those places in the last 100 years. For some Nigerians, it's a little bit disappointing considering the reputation of France in the way they have been exploiting minerals across the Sahel. Hoping we have good enough checks to make sure that the agreement signed will generally be in the interest of both countries and not a one-sided agreement. And for now, Nigeria is France's top trading partner in sub-Saharan Africa. Well, to speak further on this is Lanre Toluhi, MLT, and he's a political strategist, of course, an analyst and a social commentator. Good evening, Mr. Lanre. It's good to see you here.
It's good to see you here. Good evening, amazing, and good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here.
Great. All right, so let's get your thoughts about when you heard about the president's state's visit to France. You know, he's been the first person who's been there over 2 decades. Isn't that intentional by the former president not to have even wanted to touch France, even with a long spoon, if that would make some sense? But would you rather he developed the ties elsewhere, especially with the strong history of France in West Africa?
Yeah. See, for me, this newfound love or this burgeoning relationship between the Nigerian presidents, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the French President Emmanuel Macron, for me, is giving me a very big significant concern, especially when you look at how the former colonies of France in Africa have continued to sever their ties because of the explorative relationship with France, with what France is doing. And looking at this, we know that there's going to be a very bad consequences for Nigeria, because when you look at it first, when you look at the historical exploration of France in Africa, one was wonder why a country like Nigeria, why a supposed progressive president or a supposed smart man would do that and take Nigeria and Nigerian economy and try to hand it over to France. You see, France have been they are facing a lot of financial exploitation accusation from other colonies, because you look at it, they make other colonies, every Francophone countries in Africa, you see them, they use the France CFAs, and we know what happens from the minting to the printing of the CFAs. We believe comes from France, you know. This system has hindered the economic sovereignty of this Francophone African nation, which is leading to what we have now, where we have Mali, Burkina Faso, and the like of Niger wanting to pull out and doing all things they can do because they are tired. And we know what is happening. The second thing is that France economy and their priority, because that's what they do. These parts of Emmanuel Macron has done. The France primary interest in Africa has often revolved around securing natural resources, and we know that's what they're always doing, enhancing natural resources and expanding its market reach just for them to get what they want. And Nigeria being their largest trading partner in Africa with over 88% of exports to France. We bring the crude oil. It is crazy, and we can't continue to do that because we know that France cannot really give us what we want. We understand what is going to happen, what is happening in the ECOWAS region. We can see how that is. The Nigerian government or Nigeria is seen as a natural leader of the regional body of ECOWAS, and now these are relationship with France, doing all these things with France, doing all this will undermine the unity the sub-Sahara or the sub-regional body had, because there's going to be a break in trust. There's going to be a kind of sellout on the part of Nigeria. And one would wonder, why is President Tinubu evident on handing over Nigerian economy and Nigerian relationship to France, and actually handing over West Africa to France? It shows how these guys really don't want to think deep. They're looking for easy way or quick way out. We can see it. It is not rocket science. There are nations that have had ties with over 100 years, and these countries are pulling out. Then you are going into it blindly, not sitting down, not reading the thing, define lines and all that. I don't think we should be doing that. It is totally unacceptable, and it's not something that should be coming from a nation like Nigeria.
Definitely isn't any wonder why the three countries particularly had to, of course, say that they're no longer interested in ECOWAS. And of course, one would wonder why President Tinubu isn't seeing the handwriting on the wall. It's probably because, some of our historians have said, bring back history into our schools, because sometimes when we refresh our memory with some of the history of the past, we'll be able to know what to do and who to associate with going forward. Well, let's take a look at some of these countries that France have had their military bases in, and what were they able to achieve so far. As you've mentioned, barely, maybe nothing. But beyond our leaders signing agreements, is it too much to ask for the details of these agreements? Because we always hear when they go on foreign trips, well, we're going to bring in investors, and then there are ties between these two countries. And almost all the time, the ties are somewhat one-sided, maybe to just favor the other party, and because maybe as Nigerians, we're not asking enough questions. So do you think that our leaders will be able to open up someday to tell us the extent to which these ties that we're getting tied into, and of course, so we can get to know when we're becoming exploited by these people?
The truth is, from the one we are getting exploited, and our leaders are not going to open up. The truth is, if they want to open up, when you talk about history, I laugh. It's the nation that have removed history, but the truth is, we don't even have to go to deep history. We don't have to go to long history. We're talking of things that happened within a few months ago. So it's not about history, it's just about recent happenings. We can see it. We don't need a magician, or we don't need somebody with superpower to tell us that it is a wrong move. But because our leaders want to do something, just want something that looks like they like to window dress and do facelifting rather than addressing the root cause, doing a root cause analysis and addressing these root cause issues. They want to window dress, and they want to do what kind of facelifting, and that is why they will go. And because of that, they're never going to reveal what happens to this agreement and what is putting together. The truth is, why is Nigeria as a nation not having a definite international policy document, or international policy, or international diplomacy policy, where we know what we need to do? We've seen Nigeria as a nation in the past go into all kind of international relationship or diplomacy and all that, and it backfired. We know what happened with Nigeria and South Africa. We saw what we are getting from South Africa. When you look at it, if Nigeria is a nation that thinks, or their leaders that think, we know that even South Africa telling Nigerians to get visas to come to South Africa is an insult on us, because we know what Nigeria did for the South Africa in terms of apartheid. Even when we had the military rules, we still stood by South Africa Africa had black budget to support them and support the ANC. What happened? It is even tougher. I can tell people that it is easier for you to get to heaven than to get South African visas in Nigeria. And when they get to Nigeria, when they finally get to South Africa, we see how they are being meted out, because our leaders don't always sit down to look at these policies. They are always rushing to do things. Once a president or anybody in power has a friend somewhere, or a friend that is leading another country or have interest in another country, they take the whole nation. So what we are seeing in Nigeria, it is not a definite or a written international policy document. It is something about interest. When a president comes and his interest is lying in the country, if the country is not meaning well for the populace, we go into it blindly out of sheer sentiment and selfish reason. If you look at what the documents coming from Nigeria and France ties, you will see if they make it public, you will see that even the toddler will not sign that. But our government don't give two cents about us. They will do what they want to do as long as it's aligned with their self-preservation and their selfish ambition.
Of course, I just have a minute, and I need you to just talk about what that will mean for President Tinubu. He's the chairman of ECOWAS presently, and then 3 nations are pulling away from the bloc. What do you think that would mean for his leadership, and how sustainable do you think that ECOWAS is? Also, will that be some sort of way for Nigeria to maybe accept in joining BRICS? Do you think so?
It just shows that our president lacks anything called leadership. He doesn't have leadership quality, because if he does, he will not be doing what he's doing with France, especially when he's a leader of ECOWAS and country leaving more country believes. And it's just come to what he normally does. Everything they touch, they put in shambles. So they probably might not be ECOWAS in the next 2 years, because they will mess it up like they mess everything up. And when you talk of joining the BRICS, who will do it? These guys that we have at the ends of our affairs are selfish and self-centered. They are not going to do things in the interest of the nation Nigeria. They constantly do things in the interest of their pockets and their own agenda.
Fine, we'll keep our eyes on that tie, and then we as the media, we owe it to the people to keep talking about these things so that we have a deeper knowledge of the sort of ties that our country is getting into. But we want to thank you for lending us your time tonight, Lanre Toluhi MLT. It's always a delight to have you on TV here.
Thank you. And it's always great to be here too.
You're welcome.